The 2023 Tesla Model Y long range we drove doesn't look that much different from the similar Model Y we tested in 2020. What's changed under the skin? That's difficult to say. Since Tesla doesn't do traditional model year changes, we can't ask, because it's been years since Tesla had a media relations department. That said, there have been plenty of changes to hardware and software, so we figured our best bet was to get it Y and subject it to our usual evaluations, including taking it to the test track. We have lots to say about the Model Y, almost all of it good, but let's dispense with the hard data. Horsepower and torque haven't changed since our last instrumented test, minus 384 HP and 375 pound-feet, but the new Model Y tipped our scales at 4,337 pounds, 20 pounds lighter than the 20 model we tested. EPA range has grown a bit. It's now 330 miles versus 316 in 2020. For all that, the new car is slightly slower, although it's for a very Tesla reason. A similar level of acceleration is now Gulp, a $2,000 option. This year's Model Y dashed to 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds, 0.3 seconds behind the 2020 model. The new Model Y ran the quarter mile in 12.7 seconds at 114.9 miles per hour. The 2020 was a third of a second quicker with a nearly identical trap speed. Our test team found the best acceleration came with the old slap-and-go method, where you skip the fancy footwork and just mash the go pedal. Besides providing Tesla an opportunity to hoover up more cash, the altered acceleration curve might get credit for lengthening the range. Seems a fair trade-off to us, given $2,000 is a lot of dough for 0.3 seconds. After all, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, our 2023 SUV of the year and arguably the Model Y's most credible rival, matches that 0 to 60 time and takes a half second longer in the quarter. Braking from 60 to 0 miles per hour in the new Model Y was identical to the 2020 car at 118 feet, and after half a dozen hard stops, the instrument panel was displaying a brake overheat warning. That's no surprise given the Model Y is intended to be driven as a one-pedal car, with regenerative braking doing the heavy lifting. Lateral acceleration was down ever so slightly, minus 0.85 grams compared to 0.86, and the new car lapped our Figure 8 course in 25.5 seconds, 0.3 seconds slower than in 20, and with a tad less grip. Road test editor Chris Walton noted, "It's been a while since I've driven one of these, and I had forgotten how capable and fun it can be." He called out the quick and precise steering, but noted that by the end of several laps, the brakes and tires were clearly unhappy, a phenomenon we've seen in other EVs. The bottom line is that not much has changed with the Model Y in the last 3 years, and that's what makes it so remarkable. The EV SUV market has exploded in that time, and Motor Trend has driven and been impressed by nearly all of the Model Y's competitors. And yet all of us who took a turn at the wheel of this Model Y came away with the same basic conclusion: damn, it's good. We're pretty sure Tesla's minimalist interior, which has but a single screen at the center of the barely adorned dashboard, was designed to cut costs, but as a user interface, it works well. Even with a lack of familiarity, we never had trouble figuring out how fast we were going or whether we left a turn signal blinking. Plenty of us have criticized the button-free, screen-only interfaces of other cars, and we still can't get used to Tesla's silly idea of adjusting air vents using a touchscreen rather than, the vent itself. Still, even the most tech-averse among us had little trouble navigating the system. Take, for example, Tesla's car wash mode, which we only know about because a sign at our local drive-thru scrubber warns that TSLA owners must know how to engage car wash mode. When it came time to wash the Model Y, we didn't see any obvious way to engage this feature, so we pressed the picture of a Tesla and typed in the search box, CARW, and there it was, car wash mode. For those wondering, it closes the windows and charge port, turns off the rain-sensing wipers, shifts to neutral, and keeps the parking brake released when the driver's seat is empty. We followed the on-screen instructions and washed our Y with none of the drama that might, say, require a new sign. Our test Tesla did not have so-called full self-driving, the dubiously named, obviously unfinished software that allows some additional hands-free driving capabilities. It did have auto steer, Tesla's lane centering system. Engagement is simple. Tap the column stock transmission shifter down once to engage adaptive cruise, again for auto steer. Speed is adjusted with a thumb wheel on the steering wheel, a setup that makes much more sense than tap-up/tap-down buttons. As for autosteer, it does a decent enough job on straightaways, but in curves it frequently allowed the Model Y to drift to the outside of the lane before turning, rather alarming and nowhere near as good as the lane-keeping systems in many other cars, including Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis EVs. Sure, we found more to criticize, just as we do on all vehicles. The Model V's ride is choppy, we miss phone mirroring, and we did experience the headline-making, overly optimistic range estimates, such as the car using 64 miles of range after a gently driven 43-mile highway cruise. But neither did we find anything glaringly wrong. Viewed in comparison to other compact SUVs, both electric and fuel-powered, the Model Y is tidily size, easy to maneuver, quiet, and reasonably comfortable. It has plenty of range and adequate space in the back seat, trunk, and frunk. Whether you view its single-screen interface as futuristic minimalism or ruthless cost-cutting, it's relatively easy to learn and use. We can't say it leads better than other, newer electric SUVs, but nor can we say that any of those EVs are leads better than the Model Y. There is one area where Tesla blows away the competition, and that's the supercharger network. Fast charging at Tesla could not be easier. Simply plug in, and the car and the charger work out all the authentication and payment details. There's no messing about with logins or key tags or credit cards, and the stealth supercharger cable is far easier to manipulate than those 10-ton CCS hawsers. The Model V even closes the charge port for you when you unplug it. Forget about the technical details. From a user perspective, this is how things ought to work. Many of us went into this evaluation wary of the cult-like vibes from the Teslarati, who gloss over glaring faults, explain away the inherent danger full self-driving poses to the general public, and shushed owners who dare complain about their Tesla cars, and we certainly don't want to appear like we are joining their ranks. But our job is to evaluate cars, not the people who make, own, or love them. And there is no denying the Tesla Model Y is very, very good, and that, as our testing shows, it has been this good for the 3 years it's taken the competition to catch up. While some competitors are as good as the Tesla, none is clearly better, and the Model Y is still running at the front of the pack.